Hello, Sharif here. And yes, I'm dressed like Nanook from the north, and it's because it's really cold in Portland right now. I take that back. It's pretty chilly here in Portland. One of the things I learned from living 7 years in central Massachusetts is that cold doesn't really start until you get to zero. So we're only at 30, but we've been all the way down to 13, which is very uncharacteristic weather here. Um, so I'm covering my bald head and I'm dressing both indoors and outdoors appropriate for the weather. I was laughing a little while ago. I was at the coffee house writing my notes for this, and I was watching people either seriously overdressed for the weather. Um, Everything they're wearing came right from the North Face or REI or one of the recreational stores. You know, they had all the um, appropriate boots and cleats and weather resistant clothing, etc. That was half of them. The other half were walking around like it was a typical Portland spring day. Um, Wearing light sneakers, and one person even wearing their slippers, um, yeah, light jacket, and it's raining, it's freezing rain, and they are bearing up well under it. I saw this one guy getting out of his car, and he put his foot directly into an ice filled puddle. um, Little slippers on, no socks, and I guess I shouldn't have enjoyed the sight. Uh, it's hard to have compassion for people who don't have compassion for their own bodies. Uh, but anyway, this is the first live streams this year. So Happy New Year. And I'm doing some things differently. I'm going to describe that difference some other time. But right now, we're going to be looking at um, this series, and I don't know how often I'm going to do it. It might be once a week. It might be once every few weeks or so. It could be every day if people respond to this. Um, but um, this is going to be some personal reflections that I'm making that relate to the larger, um, uh, the larger body of information around how our world works, or how it doesn't work, or how it ought to work. I think that you'll get the idea in a few minutes. Um, so, what we're going to be talking about today is something that I didn't even know existed a month or two ago. I was, I don't, there should be a verb for YouTubing, looking for one valuable thing and coming across another valuable thing. Um, there should be a name for that, because there's the other thing is searching for something invaluable, like the latest, cute kitten videos, and finding something of less value. So this is it was actually valuable, um, and the thing that I found is a concept that's called aphantasia. And what aphantasia is a person who lacks a visual imagination that keeps them from being able to picture things in their mind. Many people don't realize that they have it. It's not a disability or a medical condition as much as a medical explanation. It explains something that's happening in the world. Um, when I saw this, and for those of you who are on the who are getting who are signed up on this YouTube channel and are getting my notices in advance, for those of you, you can. I sent you out a couple of videos on Aphantasia, an 8-minute video, then a 13-minute video. I'm going to try to put those in the comment section right now. And I'm if I can't find it within the next couple of seconds here, and I can't find it within a couple of seconds. Oh wait, I have another way of finding it. And no, I don't. So you can write to me, mail@commonway.org, and I eventually get that mail, and I'll be glad to send the video links to you. I will try to put them at the end of this live stream if I figure out how to do that. And if I don't figure out how to do that, you can look at the end of this live stream and you won't see anything. Okay. But I sent two of them out to you. One is a real world explanation, and the other one is a clip from a woman who is a visual artist, and she does not get visual imagery. And so how do you do that? How can you do that? And so that's gonna that she did her video in a very entertaining way. So I liked her video, and I'm going and it was something that I put in the explanation. Oh, let's look over here and see if we see it. Oh, I think I got it. Every time I think I've got it, okay, I've got one of them. I've got the entertaining one, and I'm going to copy the reference. I'm going to post that link. I'm going to hit send, and therefore people in all of the looks like for some reason it's not sending to LinkedIn, so sorry about that, LinkedIn. But people can see that in the Common Way blurb on Facebook and on YouTube. So let's get a little deeper into what aphantasia is, and then talk about its relevance to kind of what we're doing here. I've always no, I should always. There have been issues when visual information wasn't coming through, and I was having difficulty with it. At the time, there was no name for it, so I'm just kind of I'm clueless as to what's going on. One of the I remember I don't have a lot of memories as a child, but I remember I was probably like 3 or 4 years old, and everyone was outside. We were living in the housing projects at the time, and everyone was outside, and they were oohing and eyeing over this rainbow that they were seeing. I couldn't see it. And I remember my mother was like turning my head to point it at the rainbow and kind of lifting my head up. And and she said, "Do you see it now?" And I said, "Is it that telephone pole?" And no, it's not a telephone pole. Is it that roof? No, it's not the roof. It's going like this. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I remember thinking at the time, I ought to lie about it. I ought to say, "Oh yeah, I see it," just so that she wouldn't be upset because I couldn't see it. To try to please her. Um, as I went along, there were a lot of times when I'm reading, and whatever it is I'm reading is supplying the imagery. So I've said this to us before. There's an old Carnegie Library in Camden at the time. And in the children's section, because Camden had had successive waves of immigrants coming through, um, some voluntary and some not, that there were sections in the library that were um, in the children's section of the library that were Greek language, that were German language, a lot of Russian language. Now, of course, in the Greek, if it's in Greek language or Russian language, I couldn't read it. But a lot of them were books written in English on Russian culture. I thought those were fascinating. And there were also pictures in the book of what was being described. So I would read the picture, I would read the text, I'd look at the picture and say, "Oh, that's what that looks like." And for those of you who are aware, this is right off the top of my head, but those of you who are aware of some of the imagery in Russian children's stories, there was one story about the witch who lived in the house that stood on chickens' legs. Um, Now, if I were just imagining that on my own, I know what a chicken's leg looks like. Okay, it's about that big. And so I would have imagined this house on a few hundred little chicken legs that make it stand up about 6 or 8 inches. But in the book, this witch's shack is on these two gigantic chicken's legs. I mean, like 4 or 5 feet tall, like an ostrich legs. And the story was that the 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 house would face the rising sun, and then in the afternoon it would turn around and would face the setting sun. And so I could see all this because the imagery was right there in the book. I did really well with comic books because the imagery is right there with the text. And as I started reading more, I got to see that I can understand the text language, but that did not necessarily generate its own um, internal dialogue. Um, One thing that I started reading the book Dune by Frank Herbert um, way early on. Okay, so I was probably reading it a few years after it was published. And I've probably read it 25 or 30 times. It's my most read book. Um, and for those of you who have read it, there's a lot of imagery that he puts in the book. The what a globe looks like that lights up a room. Um, the way that um, uh, the room, the Paul's room on Caladan, the wetness of the room, the what a rainy day feels like. Okay, and I can say that the imagery I got from that, and the textural imagery I got from that, was definitely matched by the new Dune, by the uh, director whose name I can never remember, Denis somebody or another French name, and um, he captured it. But I can't say that I had an image of it in my head um, when I saw the movie. I just know in the prior version of Dune, he didn't come close. They didn't come close to the textural visual image. Okay, enough of all that. Um, the thing that I that triggered all this is when, again, a month or so ago, when I was reading about aphantasia. I My first thought was, gee, I wonder what a book would look like for from a person with aphantasia. And then I said, hey, I wrote one. Actually, I wrote two. And for those of you who have read Chronicles of the Upheavals, um, and its sequel, I don't even know if that's the right word, a sequel or a companion book, Chronicles of the Awakenings. Um, I am, these are books that I wrote, and I'm hesitating a bit in saying I wrote them, but these are books that I wrote that don't have visual imagery in them. Um, it makes, from my point of view, it makes the books really easy to read because you, as the reader, get to supply all of the visual imagery. You get to supply imagery that suits you, as opposed to me telling you what this thing looks like. So you've got to walk into the book ready to supply your own imagery. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. For those of the people who have read Chronicles of the Upheavals and Chronicles of the Awakening, say these books read like screenplays. Um, when you write a this is what I've never written a screenplay, so this is what people who tell me that who have written them, that you put in, very sparse language in terms of describing scenes, etc. The only thing you describe in a screenplay are the things that are absolutely necessary to uh, the movement of the plot. Um, you don't describe, for example, the dress a woman would wear unless how she's wearing that dress is important to moving the plot along. Um, there's a beginning that describes all the necessary stuff, and then you go into um, the actual actions between the characters. So, so that's what the books look like. Okay. Um, and I've had a couple of reactions to the books. Um, and it now I understand the reactions. One reaction is people literally gobble them up. I mean, like because you're supplying your own imagery, it reads really, really smooth all the way through, and therefore can read really fast all the way through. And then you come back and say, okay, where's the next book? This is great. Now I need another one. Um, or you put the book down really early and you say, I didn't really get this, or I'm going to come back and read this differently, or I'm really busy right now. And so, um, so I now can encourage people and say, this is written from a different angle in the brain. And therefore, maybe you can hear it, or maybe you can read it a different way. What I mean by that is um, um, there are a number of folks who, well, first of all, I I like almost all music. I listen to a lot of classical music because that I work well when I'm listening to classical music. And there's a guy, um, I think his name is Michael Torkey, and he wrote a composition, and he has a brain condition. Again, these are not disabilities um, unless you make it so. Um, but his condition is called synesthesia, where he experiences one sense sensory realm, let's say, um, as a different one. So he hears colors. So when he hears a piece of music, he can hear the music, but he also sees colors. And he wrote a symphony called Bright Blue Music. And when he's playing it, and I meant to get it um, uh, queued up as the 30-second lead instead of what I usually play. When he's got that going, he sees bright blue. Now he's when I'm playing that music, I don't see bright blue. I hear a pretty good symphony. I like it, and everybody know because he named it Bright Blue Music. You get that. Um, um, so I guess I could call my books um, your visual images, um, visual imagery supplied by you, and people would understand that better. Okay. I'm not seeing any questions or comments, etc., in the comments field. Remember, I think in LinkedIn you can't do comments that I can get directly. I know you can do that in YouTube, but we're going to do something here. And what I want to do is read a couple of really short chapters to you from the book. And that way you can see what I mean by the imagery being supplied to you through the book, through like your imagery, not my imagery. Before I do that, though, um, two things. One is if in what I've said, or if in looking at listening to the couple of uh, book chapters I'm going to read to you, if you are interested in picking up the book, I would suggest buying it. And shoot, I can't put. Um, I really wish I was a better salesman for my own stuff. um, but you can go to commonway.org and click on the button at the top that says shop. And if I can figure out how to put that up here, I will do so. Um, and you can buy Chronicles of the Upheavals. Um, and you can, I'm going to do a 20% discount for the book. We've got the, it's coming up here. If this doesn't appear in the chat section for you, and it just appeared on my screen. But well, I'm going to do a 20% discount. You just said an error occurred. Okay, we'll try it again. I'm going to do a 20% discount on the book, and also throw in free shipping. Buy the book normally, which is going to cost, it'll be $18 plus the shipping will be added, and I will rebate that through the. I'm going to be generous here and say the end of the month. So you will have a window in order to get the book. We're going to. So what I'm going to do now, and I think I just covered all of my points, is I'm going to read a very short clip, a couple of pages. Oops, a daisy. And then I'm going to say goodbye to those of you who have to leave. Then I'm going to read a couple more for those who are going to be looking at this on a recording. If you want a couple of other chapters. I like my book. I like reading the chapters, and I also like reading them aloud. So that's why I'm going to read more than one. Because I like this. I like my books. So without further ado, I'm not going to have any more ado here. I'm going to share with you, and I'll make this bigger. I'm going to read alongside you. Okay. And this is what this is. Well, I guess I should say what this book is about. So the book is written in a couple of different time frames. The book is written from 100 years in the future. And 100 years in the future, humanity actually makes it. And we make it through all of the garbage that we're experiencing now, plus some. And in the book, all of our garbage, climatic, economic, political, cultural, you name it, is we refer to it as the upheavals. And we make it through all of those upheavals. And so the people 100 years in the future say, yeah, we made it. But number one. Number two, we want to chronicle how did we make it? What happened over the course of 100 years that we have no more wars on the planet, no more poverty on the planet, no more the earth is coming back into balance with herself, and we are actively helping her do that. What made the difference? So they commissioned a history of the last 100 years, and so this history starts 100 years in their past at 2025, and they start moving forward from that. And because things have been so chaotic, the history is, you know, a lot of audio clips, a lot of news articles, just whatever they could do to throw this thing together, to throw together um, the history of how they managed to make a change. So I'm going to be giving you a couple of different vignettes, a couple of different uh, ways of chapters. And some of these are going to be really short. I'm probably going to do two or three, and then I'm going to bid you adieu. So back to the screen. So this is a news article. Candidates debate ends in bloodshed. Both Democratic and Republican candidates for the upcoming congressional seat ended in bloodshed last night as a fight that started in the convention center spilled out onto the streets. Now, think about the imagery there. I didn't describe it. I didn't say what city it was in. I didn't say what convention center. I didn't say who started the fight or any of that. Okay, you will supply that when you are reading the story. So continuing on, I'm not going to interrupt myself too many times. So continuing on. Quote, neither side has a clue of what's going on out here. They're talking about taxes and immigration when people are starving on the streets. Candidates were admitted and released from a hospital, treated for cuts and bruises from the altercation. Others were not so fortunate. Police reported 7 deaths and 25 admitted to hospital with life-threatening conditions. So this is a big fight. Police arrested 43 people on a variety of charges and used tear gas and water cannons to disperse crowds that ranged as high as several thousand people. All of this text, for those of you who have visual imagery, is feeding your visual imagery. For those of us who don't have it, it's telling us what actually happened. Both parties have asked for additional security to cover the upcoming debates. A quote, we can't let a few hotheads disrupt our democratic processes. In the future, we may rely more on virtual debates and less on just throwing the doors open for just anybody to show up. Okay, now all of that is very stimulating thought processes on the future of democracy, the future of how we handle what we're handling now, etc. Let me find another. Let's do it this way. Let's do this is something with several different levels or layers of imagery associated with it. This is a chapter called The Muscle Train. Let's talk a little bit about this particular section of the book. Um, in the book, I am adding, I'm introducing several alternative technologies. What happens when, not if, but when this society falls apart? How do you get water? How do you get food? How do you get transportation? All of that stuff needs to be rethought. And we are the ones who are supposed to be doing the thinking. Or we can sit back and wait for those who are in charge, generally a military, to tell us what to do, and then we'll protest them. There has to be well, we are the ones who are intelligent enough to figure out that we can figure out our own lives. And so so instead of waiting for them to act, we're the ones who are acting. And one of the things that we're creating is an alternative rail system that's run not on diesel, not run on an electrical grid that doesn't work anymore. It's run on muscles. So that's why we call this the muscle train. So all of these are transcripts where these teachers are teaching a group of novices. And I can't go too far into this without explaining the entire book to you, but it's really interesting. We're learning how the world works from the view of these novices who have never seen a muscle train before. So Bax, the conductor of the muscle train, it says, okay, basics on how we get from here to there, and don't stop pedaling while I'm talking. We're using the old national railway system. We've hacked into their computers, what's left of them, so we know when they're not using the line, which is most of the time. There's nothing to move, no one to move it, no energy to fuel it, and no one to pay for it. Once in a while, there's a military shipment, but most of the time they're so big and slow, we can get out of their way. Their rail cars are big, heavy, and steel. Ours are light and bamboo. When theirs break, they have to wait for parts that may never come. When ours break, we just grow some more. Okay, see that box down there? Look, right near your pedals. Okay, pause for a second. I just described something. For those of you who have visual imagery, you can see the box and you can see it down below because I just said near your pedals, and you have a visual imagery that pedals are operated by your feet and your feet are near the floor. So you got a box that's near the floor. So you're supplying your own visual imagery, which I think is pretty cool. I don't see any of that. I just described it. So, okay, see that box down there? Look, right near your pedals. That's the master controller. That's what converts your pedal power into electricity, then feeds that to the electric motors on each wheel. Man Uncle, and by the way, Man Uncle is a key character in the entire book, actually in both books, and is the smart aleck, the class clown, but also a very thoughtful person that you find out during the book. So, Man Uncle, hey, what's this thing for? Bax, that's your credit chip. That's how we keep score on you little turkeys. Keep it around your neck. It doesn't matter how many times you turn your crank. It doesn't matter how fast you try to go. What matters is how many watts you generate. Man Uncle, what's a watt? Bax, is that a real question? Or are you trying to be cute? Man Uncle, both? Bax, ha, fair enough. A watt is a unit of electricity. Never mind, you'll get more of that in your science class. So you adjust the gear so that you've got a comfortable pace. Do not too comfortable or you won't make any watts. Not too hard or you'll get too tired too quickly. So your fare from here to Grand Junction or New York would be your base fare minus whatever credits you earn. Victory. Victory is another person in this group that we're following through the entire book. Victory. Our fare, how come we got to pay? We didn't ask to be out here. Bax, you didn't? Victory. No, they just told us to report to you. And Bax starts yelling, a stowaway, throw his ass overboard, guards. And they all bust out laughing. Bax then explains, all novices get a training trip, then one other free trip of your choice. No cost and it's all credits. And once in a while, we may have to draft you. If we've got a shipment going from A to B and not enough volunteers to move it, we may volunteer some of you. Don't worry, it rarely happens, and when it does, you'll get rewarded for it. Dorado, another of the novices, says, hey, this is a breeze. We can get to New York in no time. Bax, first of all, Ace, you're pointing in the wrong direction. Secondly, you've got your gears set too low. You're pedaling furiously, but you're not making much power. Again, you are supplying the imagery here. So you can see Dorado pedaling away and not really making any watts. Then there's a pause. Says, yeah, that's better. So Dorado, third. Let's see how much of a breeze it is when you're pulling 2 or 3 cars of grain or fat-ass passengers behind you on a 3-mile grade. Victory. Yeah, and why would you want to go to New York anyway? I hear it's a big fat cesspool. Man, Uncle, nah, Dorado's going to move into one of those remodeled skyscrapers, living large with guards and stuff. Victory. Yeah, those folks will get eaten last. Dorado. I will invite both of my podmates to shut the heck up. Back to the point. I thought passengers had to pedal. Bax, you thought wrong. The passengers can pedal, but they don't have to. We still get passengers that can pay and only want to lose their oblate and don't want to lose their oblate figures. Victory. That doesn't seem fair. We have to haul their extra weight around and they don't want to contribute. Bax. We don't sell tickets by the person. We sell by the kilogram and by the kilometer. Man, Uncle. Whoa. So a person twice my weight has to pay twice as much? Bax. More than that. We've got an algorithm for it. Krista Lynn. She is the problem child of this group, and I won't explain how she's the problem child, but you'll pick that up in a few pages here. Krista Lynn, what's an algorithm? Bax, she talks. I was wondering whether we'd ever hear from the silent partner. It's just a math formula, one that says you pay through the nose if you're overweight and not willing to work. Hey, the rest of you, pay attention. Look at how she's got her gear set. She's racking up maximum watts, more than Mr. Speed Demon over there. Man, Uncle, hey, give me a break. I never seen a bicycle before, let alone the gears. Victory. Looks like Miss Creepy finally does something right. There's a very unhealthy tension between Victory and Krista Lynn. And in all the prior chapters, she's been picked on by Victory and defended by Man Uncle. It changes on this chapter here, by the way. So Krista Lynn, and she stutters. Krista Lynn, if I'm creepy and I'm doing it right, what does that make you? And folks start hooting and laughing. Man Uncle, the mighty might scores. Victory, subdued. Don't make her less creepy. Dorado, actually, it does. Backs, hello, I'm over here. Would anybody mind if we get back to talking about the train? Train rules are pretty simple and obvious. No fires or anything that might combust. The last place you want to be with fire is inside this bamboo box. No uncoupling the cars. It has to be done at the right time in the right way. Unless you're a passenger, stay out of the passenger car. Put delicately, when you sweat, you stink. It's okay if you want to stop pedaling and enjoy the scenery. But if you do, unplug your card and leave your station. Someone else may want to go. Okay, any questions? Crystalline. Well, maybe one. What about, well, people who don't have any legs or can't use their legs or something like that? Backs. Sweetie, see that red knob right between your pedals? Pull it out, then bring it forward all the way until it clicks. Now bring your pedals up about chest high. Yeah, that's right. Now push the red knob back in. Now you can use your hands instead of your feet. And y'all just got a whole bunch of visual information there. Some of the high-powered mules will switch up every hour between their hands and their feet, keeping their energy flowing all over their body. Man, Uncle, mules, what's a mule? Backs. Oops. We're not supposed to call them that. A mule is someone who commits to pedaling for the muscle train. Some folks do it for a few months to lose weight or clear their heads or whatever. Some think of it as a meditation. Then some do it full time. I'm not sure about their motivations. Dorado, are those the mind wipes we've been hearing about? And I am not going to describe mind wipes to you other than this is a constant theme in almost all of the chapters. And I won't say any more about that. Backs, you know the drill. The Culture Council, these are the folks who are running the planet, the Culture Council. The Culture Council discourages people from asking about whether mind wiping exists. So you go around asking about mind wiping, you could get yourself mind wiped. Hang on for a second. Yeah, but what do you think? Backs, those who say don't know, those who know don't say, and those who know and say get mind wiped. Dorado, okay, I'm cool. Backs, back to the muscle train, okay? Oh, by the way, the novices are constantly probing, is this mind wiping thing for real? What is that all about? You find out whether it's real or not when you get to the last chapters. Okay, backs, back to the muscle train, okay? Follow the rules, pay your fare, don't set anything on fire, pedal once in a while, don't stink the place up. I think that just about covers it. Man, Uncle, if we were regular passengers, how much would we pay for a ticket? Backs. Let's assume that you were regular size, going a reasonable distance, hauling 3 to 5 passenger cars and 3 to 5 cars of grain. If you ate regular meals and pedaled about half the time, your fare would be free. If you pedaled the whole time, at the end of the journey, we would owe you money. Man, Uncle, cool. Dorado, I hate to be labeled a pessimist, but man, Uncle, here it comes. But what happens if a real train comes? Backs, acting like he's offended. This is a real train. Dorado, hey, don't be so touchy. You know what I mean. A metal train. Well, we have to deal with that real stuff all the time. While we can see the national grid pretty well, there are plenty of rogues and outlaws riding the rail. Also some military. We're Victory. Hey, aren't we rogues and outlaws? Backs. You're really itching to get thrown overboard, aren't you? Ignoring that last comment, we're faster than all of the other hand power jobs. We help them get off the tracks when we overtake them. When a steel train is used in the same tracks, we have to hop off fast. That's where being made out of plastic and bamboo comes in handy. All the cars have hinge joints that slide everything sideways. Okay, more imagery here. All the cars have hinge joints that slide everything sideways. Uncouple the car, pop the hinge joint, slide the cargo sideways until the center of gravity lifts the wheels off the track. Then keep pushing until the wheels are completely up in the air and everything is away from the track. Then, once the steel beast has passed, just reverse the process. Easy peasy. To get off the tracks takes about 3 minutes per car, only a minute if you're in a hurry. To get back on takes 10 to 15 minutes more for a grain car. Dorado. So who pays to be a passenger on our bamboo train? Backs. Rich people who have enough money to buy or rent an old-style steel train and ride around. Poor folks take their chances on the roads. Highway robbers, slavers, cultists, nut jobs, religious freaks, cannibals, in my humble opinion, not worth the risk. So we're the alternative for people who want to get from A to B and keep their scalps while doing it. Dorado, nobody tries to rob us? Backs, well, it's been tried. Once a group tried to board us with horses right out of the Old West. They had no idea how fast electric motors were. We blew past them before they even knew what was going on. Victory. So how fast does this sucker go? Backs, faster than everything else. We can hit 100 miles an hour without working up a sweat. Victory, cool. Backs, I was on a train that got up to 130 miles an hour. Once one of your steel beast real trains tried to overtake us. They managed to get up to about 65 miles per hour before they gave up. We made them look like they were standing still. Actually, 200 miles per hour or better is possible, but the faster you go, the more vibration you set up in the cars. I wouldn't want to be on a train that shook apart. This is our cruising speed, a nice 60 miles an hour. Dorado, back to the bad guys who want to rob us. Backs. Yeah, a couple of times groups have tried blockading the tracks. See that mortar up on top the engine? We stop a mile away, lob over some sleepy time grenades, put them all to sleep, take all their shit, especially their weapons, remove the barricades, and on we go. One group came back at us a few months later. They found some gas masks and thought they would have another go. Backs, Dorado, what would you do? Backs, we just kept lobbing sleepy time at them. The gas mask had a charge of 60 minutes. We had 10 hours of grenades. This time we weren't so nice. We gave them a free ride to somewhere else. Dorado, what? You killed them? Backs, is that what they're teaching you in classes that we do? Or were you just asleep when they were talking about nonviolence? We literally gave them a free ride. We rode them down an abandoned rail line, 100 miles from the nearest human settlement, and left them with enough food and water to last 3 days. Manunko, what happened to them? Did they die? Backs, don't know and don't care. We didn't kill them, and they learned a very valuable lesson. It doesn't pay to mess with us. Dorado, hey, what's that up ahead? Is that a blockade? Manunko, hey, we're slowing down. What do we do? Backs, chill. Everybody just chill. That's not a blockade. That's a rest stop. We'll be pulling in for a 15-minute stop. Dorado, hey, cool. I knew that. I wasn't worried. Victory, yeah, Mr. Me, I'm not worried. Looked like he was about to pee himself. Crystalline, that's not center people. They all live in an awakening center, and all the center people are wearing the same clothes and doing the same kind of work. And you can see from a distance that the people that they're stopping for are not center people. Bax pauses. Very observant little lady. Some folks outside have contacted us for trading. They set up little rest stops, selling meals to passengers, water, and trinkets. To us, they sell energy, food, and essential crafts. Dorado, is it all barter? Bax, who gave you permission to be intelligent? No, it's not all barter. They will take center credits, good for some of the things that we sell them, like greenhouses, very good in places that get way too much sun and way too little rain, or our energy generators, so that they can work less hard to produce power to sell back to us. Sometimes we sell them shelters or kitchens or water or security, ways to deal with the bandits and such roaming around here, non-violently, of course. This is how we're building new systems and structures. See that collection of 10 buildings we're slowing down to? 100 years from now, that's going to be a city of 100,000 people, one of the biggest cities in this region. People take center credits because they know they can be traded for something. They don't lose value the way old money does. A ticket for a muscle train is going to cost the same 2 years from now as it does today. Dorado, unless you get fat. Bax, indeed. Speaking of weight, see that woman standing over there? The one that's as wide as she is tall, holding those two pies. Best apple pies this side of a center, and both of them are mine. Krista Lynn, but is that part of a healthy diet? Bax, right now, sweetie pie, just discovered one of the hidden benefits of the muscle train. Just wait until you brats learn how to say cheeseburger. Okay, up and out. Stops are 15 minutes, which means you've got to be back in your saddles in 12. You don't want to find out how much you'd have to pay if you get left at a rest stop like this. End of transcript. That actually, where am I here? That actually took longer than I thought it would, but I was going to say that's one of my favorite chapters, but they're all my favorite chapters. And some of the ones, like I said, toward the back start getting into what the awakening centers really need to be about, which is a whole new way of rethinking society. You'll find that out when you order your own copy of the book. You'll either use the link that I put in the comment section, or you'll go to commonway.org, click the link that says shop, scroll down to the Chronicles of the Upheavals, buy your copy. I will, in the regular way, and I will reimburse you for 20% of the value. And I'll also reimburse you for the shipping. So I'll make the shipping free and you'll get a 20% discount. And I'm leaving that open for until the end of the month. And I've got to write myself a note to make sure that I'm agreeing to that I agree to do that. And definitely tell me what you think about it. What did you think about the reading tonight? And what did you think about the book when you get it? I'll get those out to you ASAP, and we'll talk some more. Okay. Thank you for hanging in here. I enjoyed doing this. I hope you enjoyed the reading. I will look for your comments in whatever posting that you make on YouTube, LinkedIn, or Facebook. The YouTube comments are easier for me to get them and then to respond to them. For those of you who are going to be going to be looking and listening to this by the recording, again, offer pertains to you too. And I look forward to our um, next connections here. Um, uh, One of those connections being the global peace trial work, global peace tribe work on Saturday at 6 o'clock, um, and an event that I'm doing on focusing leadership. That's Tuesday at, I think, 6 o'clock. Okay. Um, uh, I could go on, but I'm not. Actually, there. Be nice if I ate dinner at some point in time. I really enjoy doing this. I can do more. We can talk more about the book if that's of interest. Make sure you post a comment if you are so inclined to do so. See a comment from Ursula already. Great reading. Really enjoyed it. Now you want to hear more? We'll order the book. We can do a book club. We can just kind of get together and focus on a couple of different readings, and that can be something that works. Thank you. Bye. I will see you at the next opportunity. May all beings be well. May all beings be secure. May all beings be happy. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later.